Hello, everybody. This is the U.S.S. Conduit. 52 years. My grandfather lived here. Built in Vancouver. He sailed it all the way up and down Alaska. Used it to transport Volkswagen. Built it out of volcanic concrete ash, steel rebar, chicken wire, believing that it would have rockets fired at it. Designed in such a way as similar to a German bunker, which is how he made it. He lived in it for many years until he couldn't get in and out of it anymore, and then eventually it became filled with mold. Here you can see the pillar of wood from a distance. This is what holds up the mast. This is two trunks. And you'll notice this trunk is not the same color as this trunk. It's because it's completely covered in mold. The temperature dropped, and so it went from being not too moldy, not super moldy, dirty, filled with stuff, but not smothered in mold, transformed into being completely covered in mold in some places, and then others are spared. This area here is, for whatever reason, spared. And you look at the other pillar, in about the same area, and it looks as though it's covered in moss. It's not moss, it's mold. Caked layers of mold. This gives you an idea of how dense it is. It is so thick. It's about 1.5 millimeters layer of mold over about 50 to 60% of the surface area, changing the color of the floor, changing the color of the bilge water. This is a piece of the mattress. I had to cut it out in order to remove it. As you can see, it was completely covered in mold. Even this small fragment, with only a blade's edge of the surface area, this being the top of the mattress, and the mold goes down a centimeter from the surface of the mattress down into the material by about 1 centimeter to 1.5 inches in some places. Over here it was really thick, 2 inches almost. This is the underside of the mold of the mattress. Many numerous ingenious hooks. Hooks for many things. Hooks for keys, for pots, for pans, for fire extinguishers. This was a seat. This was his support table with all of his electronics and his battery charging stuff. This here's, I don't actually know what that is. You can comment in the comments down below, depending on the quality of this video. I think it's a fish finder, but I'm not sure. This is his table and the staircase. The staircase is just completely encased in mold. From a distance you can't see. It just looks old and stained. But when you really look in on it, you can see it's mold everywhere. The entire surface area. This here area is so bad that the mold has actually changed the color of the wood. You'd think it was moss. Somehow, I'm not sure how, but somehow this has become filled with water. Somewhat concerning on a boat. Luckily for me, the power has been deactivated. Special thanks to the wharfinger of the Cowichan Bay Marina. And for the extra time to deal with this. Those are my boots. I brought them here so that I could clean the uncleanable. This is under the stairs. And this is the engine. Supposedly a $20,000 engine. It's got about 11 hours of running time. Virtually intact. Spared most of the mess due to its rather ingenious hiding spot away from all the moisture and all the other stuff. As you can see, even the belt, even the dry belt, is still functional. It's dirty, but it's not corroded. It had these special zinc bars directly under it to take all the corrosion. And there's the other zinc bar. Not just to protect the metal, but the skeleton, but also the engine. It seemed to make a big difference. Other portions of the ship that are very corroded and covered in mold, but the engine looks really good. This is the bilge pump. It's made from tire rubber. As you do this, you pump water out by hand. Those of you bear trauma modders out there, you should probably make a mod with a hand-powered pump. These are the lids of the containers. 6 lids for 6 portholes. This is his toilet. This toilet hole has got the smallest bit of water, urine. It's completely filled with mold. Spider webs so large that they can hold up onion peels for scale. I didn't even put those there. Must have been wind or something, but these spider webs are so old that they can hold up onion peels. That could be a 50-year-old, 52-year-old spider web for all we know, where the spiders of later generations simply continue living. And so from a distance you'd think it's just black stuff on the wall, but it's actually a ginormous spider web. It's about half a foot wide. It's about 6 inches deep. There's many layers, numerous layers. It's like a spider high-rise where the spider up here lives in harmony and isolation. And the spider lives down there. And even then, that spider's so lucky he has a basement. It's a 2-story, 3-story spider house. And over here, you can see the same. These wood pillars are completely covered in mold. Just completely covered. This is his bedroom. Brown fluid on the ground. Small cubby holes. This is a closet. As you can see, spider webs. 5 stories spiderweb home. Spiderweb homes that have been demolished and turned into 2 spiderweb homes, which were then later turned into 3. This is his toilet, completely covered in mold. This is the bedroom. Spared the mold. Believe it or not. The mysterious brown fluid remains mysterious. It's day 45-ish. We finally finished emptying the thing. The mysterious black hole. As you can see, bleach did wonders for the mold. The posts, once again, look like as though they're made of wood. And there's a tower of black mold. It's about 2.5 feet tall. There's a grocery bag for comparison to scale. As you can see, the mold is quite thick. It's no longer alive because it's been poured in bleach, but it's still there as a stain. As you can see, this mold column, it's about 2.5 feet tall. About 3 feet wide. As you can see, there's just mold everywhere. And on the other side, you can see the mold just spread everywhere. This, surprisingly, is not mold. This is actually something worse. Each one of these little layers is a spider's nest. But because they could live right above one another in harmony, I count about 7, 8, 9. You count that, it's 9. A 9-story tall spider tower. The spiders here, they don't just grow webs and live in single homes. They like to make 10-story tall buildings for themselves. That's why it's called the Spider Hotel or the Spider Tower. That's the nickname. Here we have the ceiling. His windows are made of dinner plates. He used dinner plates to line his roof. Has his windows. This is the battery compartment. This is like an electronics compartment. This is a stove. His sink. The bilge pump. And his desk. His desk is actually a map of all of British Columbia. It's a laminated piece of wood that has the Queen Charlotte Islands, all kinds of islands all across British Columbia. It seems to be almost enameled to the wood, making it very hard. A strange map. This table is a large map. This is a CVC radio. This is why he needs such tall antenna, so that he could broadcast around large areas. This is the Gary stick. These are the holes cut in the wood for the sound system. Once upon a time it had the best sound in town, apparently. Speakers, very old speakers. This is a truck mirror. This is how he got himself to look at himself in the mirror. He used a truck mirror, which he then bolted to the wall. And behind that, the other speaker. After this length of time, I don't think they're worth anything. But they look pretty cool. Fire extinguisher. Every good sailor should have a fire extinguisher. And a porthole. This is a porthole that hasn't been opened in probably, well, I guess it's never going to be opened. Ugh. This is a porthole that hasn't been opened in probably 20 years.
Watch your phone.
Hi, Dad. A cheese grater. Huh. And here you have a match dispenser. It's made of wood. So what you do is you fill the matches up in the top, in a big pile, and then you just reach in with your fingers and grab yourself a match. A match dispenser. Pretty neat. This is day 40 something, 43 I think. Not really sure. This is the progress we made. Today's the last day. As you can see, it's still a little full of junk, but the vast majority of it has been demolded. We aren't certain what to do with the boat, whether it's going to get turned into a reef, whether it's going to get sold for scrap. Not exactly sure. It's getting dark. It's time to call quits. been a long journey. It's difficult to understand that my grandpa spent 52 years in this 30-foot coffin, living a life of extreme poverty, isolated by himself for 5 decades, pretty well. Found his watch, so that was cool. Other than that, I guess this is the end. I visited this boat since I was a child, sitting around here, sitting over there, on the stairs, just hanging out. I even met my great-grandfather in this boat before he passed. I was only a child then. But yeah, I think he was sitting over there. My father was sitting here. And my grandfather was sitting over there. And yeah, I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I know that 4 generations of Moses have been in this boat. Now it's time to head to the scrap heap. Thank you guys so much for watching. And some parting photos of the boat in all its glory. Well, this is the last day. The last day to work on the boat. And now it is nighttime. East Hope Marine Engines. Special shout out to them 20 years later for treating my grandfather well. I don't know if they're still around, but if they are, thank you. It is 7 o'clock. It's time to say goodbye to the U.S.S. of Onduit. With a 70-foot mast and a 33-foot hold. Talk to you guys later.